What is Discern? What does it do? And why do you think this is such an important product for education?
What Discern is I mean, it's pretty simple. Really, it's we call it an inference engine or like an insight engine. And literally all we do. So again, if you're using our products like Filter or Aware, what is happening in the background, right, is we're logging the online activity, right, and in order to, in the Filter case, prevent students from accessing things they shouldn't be accessing on a student or school device.
Yeah.
In the Aware case, it's to see, like, are they, self-harm, suicide? Is there anything like that going on? Well, in the Discern case, it basically says, let's use generative AI, which is much more broadly capable to inference over that same data. And instead of sort of where Aware is looking at one individual search, like each individual search, and saying, does this search or does this site or whatever, does it meet these criteria?
Yeah.
What Discern can do is say, well, let's look at a month's worth of searches, and let's ask any question we could ever imagine asking of that data. So, like if we're looking at a given student or a student body, what are these students interested in? What are their passions? How often are they doing things that seem to be related to academic work on their computer versus not? What skills might they have? What competencies? We got a whole risk world, right? We can look at a ton of different, risk factors. If we want to talk about from school safety, we can measure, school climate. What percentage of students are demonstrating some level of sense of belonging or lack of belonging.
Right.
What you can use Castle's 5 core competencies, and say, like, what percentage of students have, self-awareness or, responsible decision making is being demonstrated here. And so, I mean, again, it's like actually really fundamentally an incredibly simple product. And like literally in natural English, we are telling the AI system what to go look for, and how we want it to look for that information. One of the things I think is really important about this, and why I think we are uniquely positioned to do this and do it really well. And shout out to Securely, to the leadership here. One of the biggest things, I think they always said to me, one of the reasons that Rhythm is even here, was like, the product is great and all of that, but they wanted mental health expertise in this
Right. Yeah.
company, because if we're going to do this sort of work, if we're going to be a wellness company, we have people who know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, our ability to tell the system in English what we want it to go do is rooted in our ability to actually understand how to find this information, and how to act. So, the prompts we use to tell the system are like very complicated and sophisticated, and we spent, you know 3, 4, 5 months I talked about earlier, like where I'm jumping in and out of tech and mental health. That was a huge. I mean, that was a time where, most of what we were doing was really theoretical, hypothetical, writing those prompts and trying to think about, how to eliminate and address bias, and, all the sort of various layers of how you do that and do it well, and the ethics of it all. And so yeah, that's it. That's the fundamental how it works. Now, out the other side, obviously, you have a, like, when you go produce that data, like literally you go in and you tell the system, hey, run school climate, look at the last 6 months worth of data, submit, and, in an hour or so it will come back to you with all the results, process all
Yeah.
your, if you're a big district, you're looking at like 15 million online activities over 6 months or something like that, right? And then now you've got all your school climate data, and it's done in an hour, and then you can come in and look at it. Well, we got some basic like data viz stuff in there, where you can see the charts and the graphs and the normal stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the coolest pieces of it is then again using AI, generative AI. So we have a data analyst assistant, where I can actually just come in natural language, ask questions of the data, and it will produce visualizations for me on the fly. So like one of my favorite examples was, we have an MTSS framework, multi-tiered system of support, which is, where we're going to identify which students have, no or low needs, which ones
Yeah.
have medium needs, and which ones are like critical needs. So we can run that framework, and identify which students have higher level needs. And I was on with a customer, one of our beta customers who was using it, and she said, well, but which of these, so we looked at the MTSS tier 3 students, and there were like 400 of them that were identified across the district. And she said, well, but which ones are like academic versus emotional versus behavioral? Like, how do I know? And I was like, I don't know, let's ask. And so I went to the analyst and said, which ones of these are blah, 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 blah. And in 10 seconds, it comes back with a pie chart that breaks down, because it can actually read the not just the data that gets returned, but the actual online activities and the summaries and everything. It has access to the metadata around that. And so, yeah, I was able to break it down for us in a pie chart. And then she's like, can I get a list of the students that have the emotional needs so I can talk to my student services? Yeah, can I get a list of those, and off we go. And so, yeah, that's one of the most exciting parts about it for me, is just giving people the ability to, because so much of this is you can generate data, but then disseminating it and
Yeah,
answering
yeah.
all the questions people have about it and producing the bespoke reporting and all that is such a hard thing to do. Um, and so that's one of the pieces I'm most excited about, to be able to just ask those questions in real time and get answers and get visualizations too, like an
Yeah, yeah.
actual
I
pie
think
chart.
I think exciting is the right word, because what I love about Discern specifically is that the use for this is so valuable in time efficiency. But not only that, it will give accurate data that is actionable, that is so valuable to their students and to their action plans and to everything really. Like there's nothing that it can't be tailored to help with.
Yeah.
And that is very exciting.